It would be the understatement of the century to say that free speech has seen better days on America's college campuses. But at which colleges is free speech the most in jeopardy? In today's video, we're going to run through the 10 worst colleges for free speech according to the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, which just released a new ranking. But first, welcome back to my channel. I'm Brad Polumbo, a libertarian conservative content creator. If you're new here, consider sticking around, subscribing, joining us, and like this video if you find it valuable. Alright, without further ado, drum roll please. Number 10. Hamline University. This Minnesota-based liberal arts college has been in the headlines lately because it fired an art history professor for, teaching art history. That's right, a professor who showed a historical painting depicting the Prophet Muhammad, which some, but not all Muslims find offensive to depict Muhammad, was not rehired, aka basically fired, after the university branded this Islamophobic, even though the painting is by a Muslim scholar, and she warned all the potentially offended students that she was going to show this image and they did not have to be present. Yeah, they basically fired an art history professor for doing her job. Then they claimed that respect for Muslim students should have superseded academic freedom, proving they don't know what that word means. Next up on the list, Pennsylvania State University. Now this public university earned fire's ire because of a scandal it was involved in with a controversial speaking event. Basically, a controversial right-wing speaking event was supposed to happen, then they canceled it citing security concerns. This basically is caving to a heckler's veto, meaning that if you just protest hard enough, you can stop someone else from speaking. Fire says they should have used their ample resources to make sure the event could proceed safely instead of caving to the mob. Next up, Collin College. This Texas university has a reputation for censorship. It fired 2 professors who were involved in the formation of a union and criticized its handling of COVID-19. It lost in federal court against one of those professors who sued. And it also currently faces litigation for firing a professor who advocated for the removal of Confederate statues. Agree or disagree? It's clearly protected by academic freedom. Up next is Texas A&M. This university is on the list because of its repeated attempts to restrict campus student groups. From an LGBT association's drag event to an independent campus newspaper to even a freshman orientation group. Not cool. Next up is the University of Pennsylvania. This Ivy League university used to earn Fire's highest ranking for free speech. Not anymore. Now it's in the hot seat from Fire because it's pursuing disciplinary proceedings against Professor Amy Wax. She's a tenured professor who has said some admittedly very controversial things about race and immigration. But while what she has to say is indeed inflammatory, and we can debate it, it's clearly protected by academic freedom in any real sense. So for UPenn to be cracking down on her is chilling. Next up, we've got Emerson from my home state of Massachusetts. This woke arts college has gone on quite the crusade against its chapter of Turning Point USA. They were involved in this whole scandal where they sanctioned and suspended the group because it handed out stickers that said, "China kinda sus." Now this was clearly referring to the Chinese government, which is run by the Communist Party. They made it a whole victim thing and said, oh, it's racism. Clearly not. Emerson also, ironically enough, blocked TPUSA from screening a documentary about free speech on campus. You can't make this shit up. Next up, we've got Emporia State. This Kansas university is under fire scrutiny for its decision to effectively end tenure and fire more than 30 faculty members, including one who just so happened to criticize the university publicly. Again, guys, academic freedom is not that tough a concept to wrap your head around. These university administrators are clearly struggling. Next up, you've got Tennessee Tech. This public research university targeted an LGBT student group because its president was offended by a drag event that the student group hosted. Newsflash to this university's administrators, there's no exception to the First Amendment just because you really don't like something. Cope and seethe. Next up, we've got the University of Oregon, and I've got to say this is probably one of the more disturbing ones on the list. It's on the list because this public university, bound by the First Amendment, punishes prospective faculty who are applying for jobs based on what their ideological views are on the questions of diversity, equity, and inclusion. For example, a prospective professor who believes it's, quote, better to not have outreach or affinity groups aimed at underrepresented individuals because it keeps them separate from everyone else, would be penalized in the job search. You're more likely to get hired if you go along with the crowd and mouth all the right words about diversity and equity with the current mores, but not if you commit wrongthink and have a different viewpoint. Again, not how free speech works, guys. Next up, we've got Loyola University in New Orleans. This university is on the list because of its horrible treatment of anarcho-capitalist economics professor Walter Block. It has subjected him to mandatory diversity training, aka re-education, due to his wrongthink, and even threatened him with termination for his speech. And in a special bonus, Fire has also awarded its Lifetime Censorship Award, its top dishonor, to Georgetown University based in DC. It's done this after Georgetown went through this whole scandal where they actually suspended an incoming professor, Ilya Shapiro, for a poorly worded, inartful tweet he posted about Ketanji Brown Jackson, the incoming Supreme Court Justice. His tweet was poorly phrased, but it was well within the bounds of academic freedom, commenting on affirmative action related issues. Yet Georgetown put Shapiro through the ringer, so much so that even after the investigation finally ended, he didn't want to actually work there anymore. And I can't blame him. But that wasn't the only thing Georgetown did. They have a long and sordid history of censorship. In fact, they've even censored pro-abortion and pro-Bernie Sanders movements on campus. And their generic speech policies are so bad and so chilling that they earned Fire's red light rating, their worst rating. So Georgetown's on the list with just a few other colleges for those worst colleges for free speech in America. Alright guys, now you know where not to send your kids to college or where not to apply if you're looking at campuses. You should go to a college that respects your rights as an individual, under the Constitution, or just under their own principles as a private university. Anyway, I hope you found this helpful. If you did, hit that like button, comment, let me know what you think of these selections. Are there any colleges that should be on here that aren't? And with that, I'll see you all in my next video.